If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat, literally. But don't sweat it, Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions, and the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code POD at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code POD at BlueNile.com.
Welcome to Orioles on the Verge. This is Zach Spedden, joined as always by Bob Phelan and Nick Stevens. And on tonight's episode, we are joined by Niko Goodrum. We'll introduce him in just a moment. But first, Orioles on the Verge is brought to you by BetOnline. Basketball fans, it's that time of year again. The NBA is back. From opening tip-off to buzzer beaters, BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. This season, every game matters. BetOnline has every stat, matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. And it's not just the NBA. BetOnline has odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL to political props. Head to the website today. Get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline. The game starts here. We're joined tonight by Niko Goodrum, who spent part of the 2024 season with the Baltimore Orioles, spent most of this summer with the Norfolk Tides, and he's had time in the major leagues as well. So we'll talk about that tonight as well as the MLB playoffs. Niko, how's your off-season going so far?
It's going pretty good. Just been, kind of recovering from the long season, letting the body, do his thing, and started back working out probably 2 weeks ago. I came home due to my, newborn daughter being born, so I got a head start on the off-season workouts this year. So, but everything's been pretty good.
No such thing as an off-season in baseball, right?
No.
Just to give our listeners a little bit of background, you joined the Orioles in June after spending some time earlier in the season with the Rays and Angels organizations. What were your impressions of the Orioles organization during your time with Norfolk?
Elite talent. Like, that was the first thing you saw with that team was the guys that were there and how young. The game is changing so rapidly. Because when I was in AAA, you're seeing, it's more of a veteran-style game. You're seeing the guys that are trying to, lead the younger guys, teach them something, show them how to play the game the right way. Where now it's just, 22, 20-year-olds in AAA. It's more more now, more than ever. So you're just, seeing how talented these guys are, man, and how they can swing the bat. So I right away, that's what I saw was these guys can really hit. Because I'm just comparing it to what you're seeing out here, and the pitching's getting faster, the pitching's getting better. The curve balls and everything is breaking sharper now. But they, the ability at 20 years old to do like, what Jackson Holliday's doing, what he did this year in the minor leagues, and, Kobe Mayo. I'm really seeing these guys just, start developing the stuff, man.
And those guys, they came up to the majors, they struggled. Orioles fans, should they be worried about them long term?
No, it's, when you talk about baseball, I've been doing this for a long time. So when you talk about baseball, it's one of those things you have to be able to go to, get to those growing pains, and you can't learn without the experience. So struggling is part of it. To be able to adjust and see what you have to improve on and get ready. And no one can tell you how to go out there and be successful. It's, in this game, you have to go out there and go through it, and get that experience and get that wisdom. And they'll be fine. They'll start to slow the game down. Not try to be, I gotta put the first pitch in play that I see. Actually go in there and slow the game down and having it bat, that makes sense for the team.
When the Orioles called offering you a deal this season, did you already have any sort of connection with the system, or what led you to signing with the Orioles this summer?
No, it's a crazy story. I was going to retire, to be honest.
Oh wow!
I was home for 3 weeks. I didn't pick up a baseball. I didn't lift a weight. I was, in that space of, you're in that emotional space of doing something for so long. For me, since I was 4 years old, and now I'm talking about, not doing it anymore because I was at home for 3 weeks. So it was no ties to the orders that I had. It was, me being at home and not, I wasn't going to sign back. I was with the Pirates for one day. I flew out there and got DFA'd, and I flew back home. And doing that to your family, it's tough. Your family's traveling with you, and you're experiencing that. And so once I went home, I was just kind of tired of, how the business that got to me, and what I put my family through this year. That I was just saying that, maybe this is a sign. And for me, I prayed on it, and I said, if someone reaches out, that means I'm supposed to still be playing. And the Orioles reached out, and I just told them, I said, hey, I'm gonna give me like 4 days, to come to Norfolk to, take some ground balls, take some BP, and then I'll be good. So I took 3 days to get, back ready after sitting off for 3 weeks, and kind of got to it a little bit.
Maybe a sign that you should keep going here. You played pretty well with AAA Norfolk, 291 batting average, 835 OPS, great walk rate. I mean, how did it go for you? How did you think it went?
Oh, it went good, man. And that's one thing that, like I said, with the experience, when I got to the big leagues at 25, it was just pure talent. And that's been the one thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. I was just going off talent the entire time. I didn't never learn how to hit. I never learned the ins and outs. It was just, I got to the big leagues, and let me see how far I can hit the baseball. And, things went, good to be able to play a lot of different positions. But as you get older, you start to learn about, like I'm saying, how to have an at bat, what to swing at, what the pitcher's thinking. Is this a good time for this pitch? You start to, become smarter versus just relying on, strictly talent. And so over these past, I think, 4 years, I'm starting to turn to the player that's like, okay, I can still run. I can still do all these things I did at 24, 25 years old. I'm just a smarter player now. And, you fight for that opportunity, to get those opportunities back now. And that's what, as you get older, I'll be 33. This upcoming season, you're fighting for just the opportunity to say, look, I'm going to show you the player I can be if I get those opportunities again. And it's just waiting for the team that will allow me to get the opportunity to go out there and play, versus, the small sample size like I got this year with the Rays and the Angels, getting a real opportunity. And I think what you're seeing in that AAA in the sense of, 290, 280, 290, last year I had 70, 80 walks before the All-Star break. You're seeing this player that, I can be in, just waiting for the opportunity.
All right.
Is there,
awesome.
For a veteran like you, when you come in mid-season to a new organization, without getting into specifics, obviously, but is there a lot of tinkering with your game when you join Norfolk? Or for a veteran like yourself, is it more like, we know who you are, this is why we signed you, go be you and be ready because you're one call away, one injury away from being back in the big leagues? Yeah,
you're sure of, you've identified for yourself who you are. You're not in a search for, am I this guy that can, hit 30 homers? Am I this guy that is going to, you get to a point of identifying who you are, what you bring to the table. And at that point, it's you just be, getting into the rhythm and getting at bats under your belt and things like that. And so when I came to Norfolk, I understood that there was a lot of young guys there that I more so moved to a point of let me help these guys. Let me give these guys something, because once I'm gone, I want to be able to leave an impact on these guys, not in the sense of just baseball, but as men. And but since we're talking about baseball, it's one of those things hey, this is how we're going to have a bat. I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you, but I'm also going to show you on what it's going to take to be successful and to win. Forget your individual numbers right now. let's talk about how we're going to win, and we got to do that by passing the baton on to one another. So me showing up, everyone knew, our hitting coach Mike Montville, everyone at this point is kind of familiar on who I am. From Buck to everyone that was in Norfolk, they kind of knew like, okay, I know who Niko is. This is what he can bring. And we had that talk. Me and Buck had that talk when I first joined up on kind of what I wanted to do and kind of what he, saw. And it was just me getting ready to help the big league team, but also help the younger guys there in AAA.
I know a lot of our listeners have been following Buck Britton's path through the minor leagues as a manager. He was a player in the Orioles system. Before that, he has a long history with the organization. Can you give us a sense of what he's like as a manager?
Players love him. But he's also a good mix of that hard nose and, a player's manager. Open to all conversation. The door is always open. And I know for me, it was more so of what does it take for you to get ready? And I think everybody, especially once you get to the big leagues, will respect someone that's in the sense of you don't have to baby us as grown men. Everyone here, once you get to a certain time, understands what it takes to get ready for this 7:00 game. I need you ready at 7. And I'm not sure as far as, those guys that are 20 years old, because for us at 20, we were in maybe low A. And so we were going through the growing pains and learning how to have a routine and learning certain things, where at AAA it's kind of you need guys that know, because you're that close to the big leagues. And once you go to the big leagues, there is no talking about what we're learning here. We're trying to win. We're trying to bring, get to the playoffs, bring the World Series back. And that's kind of that's what makes it tough for managers now in AAA. But Buck handles it extremely well to balance all the changes that he had to go through, especially this season, of the calls of all the trades that you probably, you guys are aware of. We lost probably 5-6 players at the trade deadline in Charlotte. We're gone, and we're looking around like, so we're going to put a pitcher in the outfield? And we actually did. And you're looking at it like, okay, I've never experienced anything like this, but he handled it so well that it becomes a sense of there was no panic. And you kind of want your manager to do this. So, super excited for Buck, because I really think he's going to be an extremely good manager in the big leagues, because how he handles, the clubhouse. He allows the players to have the clubhouse and find the identity of the team. And, he's there to keep that structure there.
That's great to hear. You've been around the league since you were drafted in 2010, I believe, a second-round pick. Been with a few different organizations now, even overseas. Once you settled in with the Orioles, was there anything about the organization that stood out to you in terms of, we just talked about Buck, but any of the coaches you like to work with, just the clubhouse vibes, day-to-day operations from a player's point of view, anything like that?
Yeah, everyone's there to help you. And that's one thing that, as you start to see that if you don't get better, that's kind of a you problem, because everyone's there. You have so many resources to get better, and that's just taking the time each day, little by little, to make small progress. So, when I joined up with Norfolk, it was I was more so of I guess it's kind of weird for me to say I took that turn to figure out how to help someone, more so of what do I need to get this done, because I understood that I'm going to, perform at the AAA level. And that's something that I've, when someone has the service time, I have 5 years of service time and parts of 7 years, you start to sit in like, I'm supposed to perform at the AAA level. It's not like oh man, Niko, great year. You're not going to get that out of a lot of people. It's just a thing of going out there, handling your business. But I turned it into how many people can I help, continue to reach their goals in this. And, once I flipped the switch to that, the game became easy. You stop worrying about certain things. And, for the past couple of years, it's been that way, with me just waiting for the opportunity to try to go out there and play every day and, be a role to help a team win. Yeah,
like you said, they pretty much know what they have in you, and if they know what it's going to take to bring you up and give you a shot at the majors again. But you keep talking about like your connection to these younger guys. Any thoughts on, obviously playing days aren't done yet, but any thoughts on coaching eventually?
Man, my dad has been saying that. I've been I dedicated so much to this game. With being away from my family and especially having kids now, it would be something that I would have to think about. It depends on what kind of coaching it is, how I would be helping guys. But I'm super, passionate about it. And that's one thing. Like with my foundation, we're trying to my foundation is do good things. There's a play on my name, of course, with Goodrum, but we're trying to get boys and girls into college using athletics because, as you guys know, it's a 2%. I say it's 2% of people who's going to make it to the major leagues out of everybody, right? And then you talk about the number of people that's going to get drafted. So you start to realize that, okay, we need more doctors, we need more scientists, we need more of the presence. We need more. It's going to be more people in there that will not be athletes. So how can we get them into college and get their college paid for with these athletic scholarships? And that's what we're trying to do. And right now is mainly we understand how important the training is, how much learn the fundamentals of the game and honing in on that. So wherever team you go to, you can make an impact. And so, it kind of goes with your question of me coaching. I've been doing this since I was 18 as far as giving back to the generation behind me, as far as the game of baseball and teaching them the things that I didn't have so they can be way better than me earlier and sooner and not get those hiccups and run those speed bumps I did. And so, I try not to make that answer long, but it's kind of a thing I would definitely have to talk to my family and my wife about to see if that's even something that she would be willing to, allow me to be a way that, because the season's a long season. And, but I'm definitely interested. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm definitely interested in something, in that area of giving back.
No, I love that, and maybe a little league coach at the very least, right, for your kids?
Yeah. I gotta have me a son here.
Yeah.
If not, it's gonna be softball. We're gonna see how I do in softball. Yeah.
You've already mentioned some of the players that you played with in Norfolk, like Jackson Holliday and Kobe Mayo, but that was a really young roster with a lot of talent, especially before the trade deadline. Of your two teammates, who stood out to you and why?
Norby, man, it had to be Norby and Daniel Johnson. When you watch Norby hit, and the one thing I saw with Norby is once he got called up, at first he just had trouble slowing that game down. And if no one knows what that means, just listening, slowing the game down will understand that there's a piece of confidence that comes with slowing the game down. You're not rushed by anything. Your heart's not really pacing too fast. You're able to, understand what's going on and slow the moment down. And when you saw him in AAA, there was that confidence. There was that, I'm just a guy that's going to go up here and, hit one off your hat, right? But it was so impressive watching him go in there and get 2 hits every night, as well as one's probably going to the fence. And with Daniel Johnson, I'm watching a guy that has all the tools. We're talking about speed, throwing ability, hitting ability, power. You're watching guys, okay, when is he going to get shot? Like, you're just waiting, right? You're just sitting there, and, you have the names of Mayo and Holiday, but it was so much talent down there. Stowers. I'm like, this guy has the home run record. I don't know if that's supposed to be good or bad. When you talk about having the home run record, and I don't know but you're watching how good he is. And it's like he just needs his shot to go play every day. And so once you see the trades happening, you're excited for those guys because you understand that they deserve to be, get their shot to play in the major league and show everybody what they can do. And it was just unfortunate of how much talent in the Orioles organization where it wasn't, able to go to, be in Baltimore for long term. But I would definitely say Norby and Daniel Johnson.
Yeah, it's kind of like the downside to having a stacked farm system, right, is that there's
Yeah.
only so many places to play. How about Samuel Basayo? I think did you see
Oh
him
my
at the end of the
gosh,
year?
I forgot
I'd
about
love to
him.
hear your take on him.
Oh man, you talking about first? I'm like, at first I said, how tall are you? And he's I'm 6'5", and you're watching these they're kids, right? I'm 12 years older than these guys, and I'm looking at him like, first of all, you're way bigger than I am at 20. This is a grown man with a kid face, and but you're watching the ability, and when I say the hitting ability, you're watching. Like, yeah, he has power. You're seeing a 6'5" catcher, first baseman, but where I need everyone to start to understand how someone approaches hitting, how important that is, because it reminds me of Yordan Alvarez. When Alvarez was a rookie, we was in Houston. I'm watching him. I had a day off. I'm with Detroit. I'm looking at the way he takes the ball, not the swing. And I'm like, oh, this guy's 22 years old. And you're watching the pace of the load. You're watching how he sees the ball so well. You're watching him get a swing off. And I'm like, that's advanced, right? You're watching an advanced hitter. And I see that in him, Basayo. And, he's very passionate about the game. If he didn't, get a hit, I'm like, Samuel, it's okay. All right, this isn't double A, but the game gets better. But once you start to really, and I think it's going to be an amazing season for him next year. Just the little sample size I saw from this year, I think the Orioles, the fan base have to be extremely excited about the talent that is in the minor leagues, because watching him and watching Fabian, I saw Fabian hit a backside homer at 106. Opposite field 106 is crazy, because that's like equivalent to someone pulling the ball, right? So the tools and talent that's coming up, I think they should be excited about it.
Nice. I was going to say, you're going to make a lot of Orioles fans that listen to the show upset when your first answer was Norby there, but high praise for Basai is going to get a lot of people excited. It's good to hear that from a veteran like yourself instead of, some prospect list that's just saying the same thing over and over again.
Oh,
but
yeah.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Yeah.
But back to your season this year, I'm interested because we're family guys. We all have kids ourselves, and we have tons of prospects on the show over the years that we've been doing this. But you're the first real veteran we've had on the show this year. You started with the Twins. You talked about this a little bit. You're with the Rays. You're with the Angels. You're with the Pirates for a day. All of that traveling before you finally settle down in Norfolk for the second half of the season there. What's the most difficult aspect of moving around so much like that for a player?
Of course, your family. When I was in spring training, that was the last day of spring that I got claimed by the Rays. And so I had to drive that night back home to Atlanta. That's 9 hours. So I drove there, then I had to drive 9 more. Now, what is it, Durham? Yeah, 8 hours to Durham. So the travel, having your family make different plans, canceling apartments, getting to know different organizations, different players, trainers, managers, coaches that you didn't go through a whole spring with. Where do I fit in? How are my teammates going to view me? Who do I, how do I mesh, right? You're going through all those things like being a new kid at school. And then you just realize, you just got to be yourself. And it wasn't my first time having to deal with that. But you just go in and be yourself, and, you'll find your flow. But it was just a crazy season for me. And this is my first time dealing with it in the business of baseball, where you don't really have any control. You're just along for the ride. And I went from the Twins, went to the Rays. I remember I hit 316 with 3 homers in 7 games, right? And I got called up, and I'm like, okay, back in the major leagues, and there was a stretch I didn't play for 3 weeks straight, and I'm sitting on the bench, and I'm like, it's tough, but I showed up to the field, I worked out, sprint, lift every day. I did something to get better every day because I understood that, when it's your time to go play, you have to be ready, and no one's trying to hear, well, I haven't been. That's not what this is about. This is a game that, you got to take accountability and you're responsible for your career. And so, I remember I sat for 3 weeks. First game back, I had 2 hits, and we won out in Milwaukee. And it's an exciting feeling, and you just play your role until your role changes, right? And I understood that, but I guess the toughest thing was there was just no clarity and why I'm here. What am I gonna do? Am I just am I not gonna play? You're in that kind of limbo of not really knowing, and then I get DFA'd. So I drive home, and that's right when my family gets in town. The same day my family gets in town, they call and said, "Niko, we hate to do this. We know your family got here. We know you just moved in to your apartment, but we're gonna DFA you." And I'm immediately just like, man, like, y'all don't know what I've been going through. Y'all don't know what's going on, right? And it doesn't matter though. It's business, right? And so then you just keep it pushing, and we drive home the next day back home to Atlanta and wait. And then I want to say, so 3 weeks passed. I played that one game in Milwaukee after 3 weeks, and then I sat, and that was it. Got DFA'd, and I was at home for 9. So we're talking about a total of 30 days, right? We'll just say 30 days I didn't play. Get claimed by the Angel, and they say, "Can you fly out tonight?" So I had to catch the flight at 8 p.m. from Atlanta to LA, play the next day. Now, I haven't played third base in I don't know when, right? And the first games, I'm at third. I'm like, okay, so I haven't played in, I don't have the flow of playing. I didn't play in 30 days. I just sat for 9 days, and right away get into it like, okay. And I got judged off of almost like spring training, right? Where it's like, I didn't, and you're just going through, and it's emotional for me at the time because I understand, like, I'm better than, the player that you guys are saying. It's just being realistic of the situation that's, in front of me is like, I haven't played. I need, just, give me a chance to play. But you're dealing with the business, right? You're not dealing with someone wanting to see what's going on. It's just business, right? And I played, I think, 4 games in Anaheim, and but right before the night of the road trip, we packed up, about to go. I get called in the office. You get an option to Salt Lake. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I got my car shipped out on the way from Atlanta. They go to LA. Now I got to pay to ship them to Salt Lake, and I get out to Salt Lake, and I got to learn this crew, what's going on, y'all. And then at that point, before we fly out to Las Vegas, I get DFA'd. My mother-in-law was flying in from Georgia. It was one of those seasons where I'm just like, what's going on? And so once I get claimed by the Pirates, I told my agent, I said, can you just call the GM, please? And just ask them, if you guys are going to DFA me, I'll just go home. Like, I'll just, go home now. And, we had a whole plan. They told us about the whole plan that was happening. And, I'm like, okay. And so I fly out to, they claim me, then option me to Jacksonville. I flew to Jacksonville. Guys, sure enough, DFA the next day. And you're sitting there like, but you told me, right? You're going through other things like, but you said that business, right? And so once I got home, I was done because I'm like, the only offer I had was from the Pirates. And I was like, man, I don't feel comfortable, trying to go there after, what was said and then how business was handled. And so I was just going to hang it up, right? And, putting my family through that of the traveling back and forth and, going here, going there, and not really having control of anything. It felt good to say, I'm going to be in Norfolk. As weird as that may sound, to go out here to say, I'm going to Norfolk and I'm going to be here. My family, can come here and I can play here and get at bats and play that could lead to more. It felt good to finally just be able to do that and, versus, not playing and then getting DFA'd and going here and getting DFA'd, and it kind of turned into the business just having to its way with me. And for anybody would be kind of be emotional and kind of get tired of that process if it was happening to them that much, like it did to me last year.
I mean, all this was by what, June, right? I mean, it's not even like the whole season.
It happened right at spring, and then
that's rough.
I didn't even get to it. It was way before All-Star break, that all this happened.
Wild.
So I was kind of calculating things. Was it worth it? Is this a sign I'm not supposed to be playing? I started just thinking certain thoughts, and I just had to take some time to really just kind of see what I wanted to do and come up with a new reason to play, and that's what I did.
So being from the Norfolk area, hopefully Norfolk treated you right when you were down there.
Oh, no, it was nice. It was good.
And in 2023, you spent some time in Korea playing. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was culture shock. It was mind-blowing. It was you just seeing another way of life. Like, forget baseball. You're going – that was a 16-hour flight for me. So I'm on that flight like, okay, what am I doing? I'm really – like, there's no turning back because I'm on this plane now. But what's going on? And, you have butterflies because you don't really know what to expect. But, you're going over there and, you're just looking at, the different food. And, they start later, meaning their mornings, you're used to guys getting up. You ever get up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m.? No, like 9 a.m. Like, we start later over here. You're adjusting to a lot of different stuff. But to speak on baseball, it's just a different style, It's a different style, and they expect home runs out of the international players. And for me, I've never been a guy to hit 30 homers, right? And I didn't go over there. That year in particular, I didn't go over there trying to hit homers. I set out with a goal that year, as you saw with, if you look at numbers, to have better at-bats, to make these pitchers work, and to hit the baseball hard. And I wanted to if I hit a homer, I wanted the homer to go to center field, right? And that allows you to be able to stay on pitches, to spit on certain pitches, right? And if you look up, all my homers were to center field that year, minus maybe one to right center. I count that as center field, but and if you look up, that's what I went. And so when I went to Korea, that didn't change. That approach didn't change, right? And I wanted to be that same productive hitter. And so, it's just a different game, different pace. It's a longer game. You have to adjust to being on your feet longer. They throw tons of splitters. The ball doesn't fly. The fences are super high. So home run numbers look different anyway. But it's a good experience. And I'm glad I got to go over there to see if I like it or not, or how it's going to be. But it's an experience that I have, for the rest of my life. And my family was there with me. So, we can share that experience.
Yeah, you put up some good numbers. I can't help but notice no stolen bases, though.
I didn't have any stolen bases there.
At least on Fangraphs, from what I'm looking at.
It's okay. Hey, I'll tell you this. Once they start paying for stolen bases, I don't think people understand that toll it takes on the body, especially in this game. Now, if we were football players just constantly moving, it'd be a different thing. But the most important thing is just staying on that field. And, I got a little smarter now in these days to realize when's the right time to steal versus just, running. Like my hair is on fire. So I kind of just pick my times and places when it makes sense. This is the time that we need to get, scoring position. And, if they put the call on for me to steal, then I have no choice but to go. But, I just kind of, now make sure it makes sense to steal. And is it worth the risk now?
No, that makes sense.
We'll go with this question here, which really I think is a good place to wrap up because it's on a lot of baseball fans' minds. The World Series starts later this week. We have the Yankees and the Dodgers. Who do you think wins it? And there's a lot of marquee names in this World Series, from Aaron Judge and Juan Soto to Shohei Ohtani. What kind of impact could that have on the game?
I think, first off, just the teams, like regardless of the players that they have, just the Dodgers and Yankees, I think everyone wanted to see that matchup, just of what these historic two teams, who they are as organizations. But with the players, man, I don't think it's been this star-studded of a roster in the World Series ever, or maybe in a long time. But to actually pick a team, I think it's just going to boil down to the pitching and defense. We know how important defense really is. Especially when you're in the game, you understand. Even to rundowns or when you're talking about making this pitch or executing this play or getting the bunt play down, getting it out here, like those things, matter. It's not so much the homers anymore, because we saw the Twins and Yankees who broke the record that one year. They didn't go to the World Series, right? When you're talking about break the record for homers, they didn't go to the World Series, right? It's those teams that can do those small things, hit and run, hit behind the runner. So I think the team that can execute those small things and, play good defense, that's the team that's going to win. But it's kind of tough really picking, a team, because it's just so, star-studded, like I said, that, I think the Yankees added great additions to their team to make them more of a well-rounded team versus just a power slugging team that they used to be. So I think it's going to be just fun just to watch and tune in. And I think the baseball culture should really get into, this is my team, they should win. I think just enjoy the game, because it's going to be a special thing to see, this style of baseball again, and to see the stolen bases, and you're going to have those Dave Robert, moments that, he gets, celebrated for that stolen bag, right? You're going to have more of those moments in the games now. So I think it's going to be, just fun to watch. And, I don't have a dog in the fight, so I'll just be, checking it out.
Don't forget, this is an Orioles podcast. This is Pick the Dodgers. Pick the Dodgers.
I hear that. I hear that.
I agree.
Before we let you go, I do want to give you a chance to let our listeners know a little bit more about the Do Good Things Foundation and where they can learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah, you can find us at dogoodthingsinc.org. That's our website, and from there you can you'll hit the drop down menu that should be at the top right, and it will tell you more about us and what we're doing and trying to accomplish here. And right now we're raising money and trying to find grants to open up an indoor facility to start really getting those lessons and that training in every sport, so we can get these boys and girls into college to, like I said, to become the next open heart surgeon, to really focus on things outside of sports, because we understand that we're going to have to stop playing this game. But when you focus in on those careers that are going to really make a difference in the world, I think that you can look at sports a little different and use it as a tool to create more, for you, your family, and everyone else in this world. Because who knows, like I said, you can save someone's life. Be a lawyer to fight, certain battles in the courtroom. I think that's the most important thing as you start to see players, get to the ends of their careers. You start to see them think and look at certain things a little differently, or just as you get older in general. So that's what we're trying to do is, get those boys and girls into college, so that they can do well for themselves in this world.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, man.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Niko Goodrum, for joining us tonight. Bob, Nick, and I will be back later this week to check in on the Arizona Fall League. In the meantime, you can find us on our many social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, TikTok, and YouTube. We're also over at Substack, OriolesOnTheVerge.substack.com. And while you're browsing around the internet, be sure to head over to Patreon to sign up to become a member of our community. We will have bonus episodes for our patrons throughout the off-season. You will not want to miss that. For Bob Phelan and Nick Stevens, this is Zach Spedden. You've been listening to Orioles on the Verge, presented by BetOnline and part of the Believe Podcast Network.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.